So, hello there everyone and welcome, it is Niran here, and today it is time for yet another FIFA 17 criminal experiment, as you seem to have been seeing quite a lot of on this channel. In the Premier League at the moment, we've got sort of 4 teams that are looking as if they could be relegated, and often the thought is, how would Scottish teams do in the Premier League? You know, could Scottish teams survive in the Premier League? We're taking it from a different angle though today. We're going to be taking or pitting the lowest rated teams in the Premier League, or the teams that are struggling the most in real life in the Premier League, and putting them into the Scottish League to see how all Scottish teams would do against the teams that are getting relegated currently from the Premier League. So the 4 teams are Swansea City, Sunderland, Hull City, and also Middlesbrough as well, who are currently in the relegation fight, and you can see them there in the Scottish Prem at the moment, along with some of the other Scottish teams. The listing, as far as the entire league is concerned overall, is Aberdeen, Celtic, Hearts, Hull City, Inverness Caledonian Thistle, Middlesbrough, Motherwell, Partick Thistle, Rangers, Ross County, Sunderland, and Swansea City. Meanwhile, the teams that have been removed from that and placed into the Premier League are Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, Dundee, and also Hamilton Academical. So it's a pretty simple experiment. Realistically, what we're going to be doing is pitting these 4 teams up against Scotland's finest clubs, to be quite honest with you, and seeing whether any of the Scottish teams can win the league, and if not, whether any of them can get in and amongst the English sides. Because on this game, Swansea have the best side. They're 4.5 stars, which does surprise me, to be quite honest with you, that they're that highly rated apparently. Sunderland are also 4 stars. We've got Middlesbrough 4-star, and Hull City are 4-star. The closest to that in terms of the Scottish teams is Celtic, obviously, naturally, who are 3.5. And then everyone else is either 3 or 2.5. So I'm not necessarily expecting many Scottish teams to beat many of the English teams, but it'll be interesting to see mainly whether Celtic and maybe Aberdeen and Rangers can get themselves in the mix. Now, I'm not massively familiar with the new system as far as the Scottish Premier League is concerned, but as far as I'm aware, you have a first stage in which all 12 teams battle against each other, and then the top 6 end up in this group where they can either win the league or get into Europe, and then you've got the bottom group, which is where teams can get relegated into the Scottish First Division. However, I don't know the dates at which they all split up, because what I would like to do is see how the first stage ends, and then carry on simming and then see how the second stage ends. Okay, so I've done some Googling, and apparently the main initial season ends after 33 games, so we can sim to the date in April, see how things are looking at the 9th of April in terms of the initial phase, see who's been split up into the top group, into the bottom group, and then from there we'll then sim to the end of the season, but we'll have like a little interval. So after 33 games for most of the teams, we're at the end of phase number 1. A few of the teams do have a game in hand, but I don't think any of those games in hand can physically change who qualifies for the top 6 and the bottom 6. We'll obviously then sim after this again to see the results at the end of the season completely, but at the moment, after 33 games, it's actually very close between all of the English teams, like very, very close. Hull City are top at the moment on 71 points after 33 games, with Swansea City a point behind them on 70. Then it's Middlesbrough on 67, but have a game in hand, so could go on to 70 as well, and Sunderland on 64, who also have a game in hand. 5th place, unsurprisingly, the top of the Scottish teams is Celtic, who would obviously run away with the title if the English teams weren't in here. They've played 33 games and are only 2 points behind Sunderland. So that's not a bad showing, to be quite honest with you. That's pretty good. That's pretty competitive, although of course if Sunderland win that game in hand, that gap stretches up to 5 points. So Celtic definitely the only Scottish team really that's even competing with the English sides. There's a massive gap back down of 23 points, I do believe, back to the other side from Glasgow, being Rangers, who are in 6th. They've booked their place in the top 6 qualification phase, if you like, or the top 6 group for the second half of the season, because they're 4 points clear of Hearts, even though Hearts have a game in hand. So Hearts, Aberdeen, Partick Thistle, Inverness, Ross County and Motherwell will go into the bottom 6 group, and Hull City, Swansea City, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Celtic and Rangers will go into the top 6 group for the second phase of the season. So that's all 4 English teams and both sides from Glasgow that are going into the top 6. So here we are then at the official end of the Scottish Premiership season. We're at the second stage Championship group, and Swansea actually overcame Hull at the end of the season to win the Scottish Premiership, if you like, on goal difference alone after the 38-game season in the end. Middlesbrough finishing third, Sunderland finishing in fourth, and Celtic, the best of the rest, in fifth. I did genuinely expect Celtic to get in and maybe beat one of the English sides. They were only 7 points off in the end. I think in real life, I think Celtic would just about get in amongst those sides, to be quite honest with you, definitely. I think Celtic would probably beat Sunderland and Middlesbrough, would get in literally in the middle of those four teams if this was to happen in real life. So that's quite a surprise that they only came fifth, but they were relatively close. And then obviously Rangers 20 points back, and just the best of the rest really in sixth position. It's not really relevant because none of the English sides are involved in the second stage bottom group, but Aberdeen came out on top in that one, ahead of Partick Thistle, Hearts, Inverness, Caledonian Thistle, Ross County and Motherwell. So it was the English teams really that locked out the table in terms of the top four positions, and they've to some degree locked out the goals top scorers list as well, certainly in the top 10 anyway. Jefferson Montero scored the most goals across the season in the league for Swansea, getting 19 from Jermaine Defoe. Not a big surprise to see him quite high up on that list, let's be honest. And then Casri as well for Sunderland with 16. Scott Sinclair is the first Scottish-based player with 15 in fourth place, ahead of Ryan Mason, interestingly. Then Gaston Ramirez, Sean Maloney, McDonald for Motherwell, Stuart Downing and Siolis as well for Hearts. In terms of assists, it is Jermaine Defoe top of that one with 10, and Jefferson Montero again doing very well there too with 8. Armstrong, the best of the Scottish-based players there with 8 for Celtic, as well as O'Halloran as well for Rangers with 8. Rudiger Stead getting 7, Casri getting 7, and Schalk as well for Ross County getting 7. You can see the rest there of the list too. Again, Nathan Dyer making it in, Joe Amu there as well for Partick Thistle, and Jordan Rossiter, both ex-Liverpool players there in terms of the Scottish representation. Clean sheets wise, the top 3 were all English sides. We've got Marshall of Hull getting 14, Victor Valdez for Middlesbrough getting 13, and Jordan Pickford for Sunderland getting 11. Craig Gordon for Celtic getting 9, Cherney for Partick Thistle getting 9, Lucas Fabianski only 6th for Swansea in terms of the English. I say in inverted commas, obviously Swansea are Welsh, but in terms of the Premier League based sides, they're on 8. Fon Williams for Inverness with 8, as well as Fotheringham there too with 8. And just finally, here's your team of the competition. There's a nice mix of English-based and Scottish-based players actually overall. We've got Marshall for Hull City getting in, as well as Andrew Robertson, someone we know very well on this channel as well for Hull. Federico Fernandez, Senderos and Balagan of Middlesbrough rounding out the defence there, Senderos being the one player based in Scotland there. Jefferson Montero, unsurprisingly, he was probably player of the competition as well, along with Leon Britton, Armstrong for Celtic and O'Halloran for Rangers, and then the front two being Jermaine Defoe from Sunderland and Esmail from Hearts. That though really brings to an end this experiment of how English sort of relegation candidates would do in the Scottish Premier League, and I suppose gives us a decent barometer of how Scottish teams would do in the Premier League on this game as well in a roundabout way, although I'm sure they would do a little bit better in real life. I genuinely think Celtic would do alright in the Premier League in real life. I don't know if I think they'd stay up. I think they'd just about stay up, but let me know what you think would happen if the Premier League sides like Sunderland, like Swansea, like Middlesbrough played in the Scottish League. Do you think Celtic would still win the league, or do you think, you know, the English teams would come out on top like has happened in this experiment? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop those in the comments section if you get the chance. If you've enjoyed this video though, meanwhile, make sure to smash a like on it, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and comment about enjoying the video if you enjoyed it that much. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. The handle will be on the screen and a link is in the description. It is at the official FNG, so you can follow me over there to get a view into my day-to-day life if you really want to, and all of that sort of jazz. But it has been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.
To the babe looking like gold medalist with Kurt Angle boots on. And I don't wear the boot on, but they got normal shoes on. Gonna like yo with the shoe from. Get them to the yo Uncle Jar. I ain't got a flex on no one. I'm the original Don. Come to the babe looking like gold medalist with Kurt Angle boots on. And I don't wear the boot on.